Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and today I just want to talk a little bit about D&D 5th Edition and the things that I'm seeing more and more of. It almost feels like, 5th Edition, when it came out, was really growing. A lot of people seemed interested, and it seemed steady. And that was 2014. Well, within like a year or two, it felt like things really started to take off around 2015, 2016. A lot of people started coming into it, 17, 18. But 2019, it feels like, not that it's more stagnant, because I think there's still a lot of new people coming to 5th edition from what I've noticed. But it feels like maybe the system has run its course. And I think Wizards of the Coast has acknowledged that with some of the Unearthed Arcana that's coming out. You've got, variant class features and things like that. You've got a ton of new subclasses and such that they're introducing. I feel like we're going to see sometime in early to mid 2020 either an expansion on the rules or something. I don't know if it's going to be like a Dungeon Master Guide 2 or a Player's Handbook 2. Probably a Player's Handbook 2 kind of thing. Where it's got, again, a ton of classes. And then rules... rules that you can layer on top of what's currently in the system or replace. I know when 5th edition either was about to come out or did first come out, Mike Merle said that the idea was it was going to be a modular system that you could add on to. And we haven't seen a lot of that, besides the Dungeon Master Guide, giving you some optional things. There just wasn't a lot to really change up the feel of the game. Like, you can play with or without feats. You can play with lingering injuries and madness and honor and these other things. But ultimately, the game still feels the same for the most part, from a mechanics standpoint. You're just adding a couple separate things off to the side to add to it, kind of thing. So I'm really curious to see what they do. Now, a lot of people I've been talking to think that these are good things to do. Like 5th edition probably should have done this sooner, and they're probably right. Maybe this should have came out early 2019. Or around summer 2019. But I like the slow burn that they're doing, the slow integration of different books. It doesn't feel like, they're just like, oh, we got a new book this week, and next week a new book. Excuse me. So I love that, the fact that Wizards of the Coast kind of has taken, basically they've learned from their past, right? With 4th edition and other systems, it seemed like they were coming out with a book every month. Paizo was doing that with their modules and things like that. D&D has so much that you can do just with the core rules as it is. So, adding in different settings, I think, adds quite a bit of variety to it. I'm curious to check out Eberron here soon. I don't think I will be getting it. If I do, it'll be like a Christmas present, I'm sure. I want it, though. That book, that special edition cover is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It almost reminds me of Star Wars. But, I love that special edition cover of it. So all these people with these memes saying, oh, 5th edition isn't for me or whatever, great, go play something else. Or if you liked 3.5, go play that. If you liked 2nd edition or 4th edition or the original, go do it. There's nothing stopping you. I don't know why people feel the need to go into a 5th edition group and say how 5th edition isn't the right system for them. What are you doing in a 5th edition Facebook group? I don't get it. I am someone who's very curious about what's trending in the RPG industry, and I can't seem to ever get a good answer on it. But I was looking at things recently. A couple years ago, New Manera seemed like it was really about to take off. And they were putting out a ton of books in a short amount of time. But, then they went and redid the system, and I don't know what's going on with Numenera 2, but that Numenera 1 seemed like something I never bought it. I wanted to, was trying to find a group to play it. I played it one time online. That was fun, but I couldn't find a group that wanted to play it, so I didn't buy the books. And I even tried to convince home groups that we should try it, and nobody really had an interest in it, so it just didn't happen. But the other thing I did buy Margaret Weiss Marvel's heroic role-playing game or whatever. It was a dice pool game. I'm not a fan of dice pools in general. I played the 7D system by Gareth from DMG Info, and I enjoyed that. The system's fine. I don't have a problem with it, but again, I'm just not that into dice pools. The idea, dice pools are, like I said, they're fine. I think, and see, his is different than ones that I've played before, but his is good. His, I think, is completely fine for new people. It's easy to pick up and play. Whereas I've played other ones where it's as a player, it seems like you're trying to tell the GM every advantageous thing you can so you can get extra dice to your pool. And I don't like that. Because then it's very meta to me rather than just role-playing. But that's just me. And I know some people think the dice can add to the narrative, and in some systems they probably can. I probably haven't played them, though. Savage Worlds is kind of like that, where people say that the dice can add to the narrative, and for me, they don't. In fact, Savage Worlds took me far too long to pick up for such a simple system. And even then, I still make mistakes. But there's a lot of, situational things, and, then you have levels of wound. I don't like how... the ideas that, if you're wounded, you're not as good at other things where you take a penalty. But there's just so many gimmicks with that game that it's distracting to me. I'm sure if I played it even more, I would get more into it. But, it's just not the system for me. And that's not Dice Pool, but that's just in general. So, where was I going with this? So, people that don't like 5th edition, they probably don't like it for various reasons. One, it's popular, right? A lot of people don't like what's popular. It's kind of like in their musical taste. When a band is a local indie band, they love it, but once they get bigger and then eventually start selling out, they get annoyed and don't want anything to do with them. Whatever, right? So don't listen to them. But so I think there's that aspect to D&D. It's now that it's the cool thing and everybody plays D&D, it's just not their thing, right? Then I think there's the people who don't like how simple the system is. They want something a little more simulationist or just in general more crunchy. I think people who tend to go for more crunchy systems want something more simulationist. This is just a theory, but I feel like they want things to have more variety and more options and just feel more realistic, right? They don't want to say, oh, well, if I hit you with a longsword and if I hit you with a rapier, it's going to feel the same. They want one to be better than the other. They want things like that. And so I think that's one of the reasons people don't, really like 5th edition, is it's too simple and almost too narrative. I don't think they would say it's too narrative, but I think it's too much relying on a player and a GM to come up with the fluff to make it feel different. Whereas another system, if I throw out Palladium books, right, you have the hand-to-hand combats, if you use ninjas and super spies, you have 30-some, 40-some different hand-to-hand combat types, different martial arts and things like that. And they're all different. Some give you bonuses to parry and dodge and strike at various levels and things like that. And some give you different attacks. You can do a throw or a super kick, a power punch, a specific type of kick, a roundhouse kick, spinning back fist, all these different things, right? And they all have different damage types. And, it's really messy. Why would you not do the optimal punch every single time at that point. You know, like, hey, I unlocked a spinning back fist. It does 2d4 rather than 1d4 or whatever. I'm always going to do that. Costs the same amount of attacks. Why not? So it's just one of those things where it's like, I think they want something a little more like that, but not quite to the level of Palladium books, for example. For some people, that's Pathfinder, first edition. Some people, that might be Pathfinder, second edition. Some people, that might be something like Savage Worlds, where it's got a little bit of variety to, like, the modifiers and things like that. You know, and there's aspects to all these games that I like, that I've heard about or I've played or whatever. There's aspects to all these that I like. But when it comes down to it, I feel like when you're trying to find a system that's for you, what is it you think is important? You know, is it based on your style? Why is your style defined that way? Is it because of the group you play with? Or is it based on an optimal group you wish you played with? Or, you know, things like that. Like, what is it? What is it that defines the system for you? For me right now, it's 5th edition. It used to be Palladium books, but right now it's 5th edition. I would love to hear what you think it is in the comments below. So leave me a comment about what your ideal, like what your system is and what defines that for you. Is it just your play style? Is it because of the group you currently play with or have played with for years? Is it just what you ideally want to play that maybe you don't play a lot because your group does play 5th edition? Again, I want to hear that below. So I'm going to end this here. This was Master the Game. I hope you smash that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed. Hammer that like button. And yeah, we will see you next time. I am Juice. This was Master the Game. Game on.